Okay.
All right, here we go. I am back in the studio with my backdrop and a friend, a guest, a confidant. And we're going to learn all about pre-planning and funeral and celebrating lives before COVID, during COVID, and after COVID with somebody who's right in the thick of it. Luisa, thank you so much for joining me. I'm really excited to have this call because we're going through an interesting time in history, and I'm so looking forward to hearing what you have to say about how do you celebrate someone's life before, after, and during COVID. Who are you? Where do you come from? What industries do you hail from, ma'am?
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jimmy, for having me. I appreciate it. I've been watching you, and I'm like, you know what? This needs to be, my story needs to be told. I need to share it with all of you. Because like you said before, it's like everyone thinks it's taboo, and it's not taboo. I put the fun back in funeral, let me just tell you that. So I have a very interesting story. I was never in the funeral business. It's not something that you wake up one morning saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to plan some funerals. I actually have a psychology degree. I studied at University of Concordia, and I went into sales right away. And I was also working a lot with group homes. Besides the selling part, I also worked in group homes and helping children. I also help women dealing with cancer as well. I had a business also in cosmetics, and I was helping women start their businesses. And the reason how I ended up here was I lost my friend a few years ago, and she passed away very young at 37 years old, and I was the one having to dealing with her funeral. I was devastated. I didn't know what to do, how to go about it, how to celebrate her life, and I was so emotionally distraught, right? Yeah, it was my best friend since we were 13 years old, and I had to deal with all those things. So when I lost my job a few times the last year or so, 2 years ago, and this opportunity came up, and I said, you know what, this is a great opportunity for me to help people to not go through what I went through, not knowing how to answer all those questions when I called their funeral home, not knowing, does she want a cremation, does she want burial? I didn't know all those things. And I found it so difficult. So I said, you know what, this is a great opportunity for me to help others not to go through that difficult time like I did. And that's how I came about today. That's why I'm here today.
It seems like this industry is the culmination of everything that you've learned. I mean, you've been building this puzzle in your life.
Yeah.
And, anything from makeup and, empowering, women and, helping people during all these hard times and all these difficult things. And so tell us about the requirements of compassion, empathy, all the things that I've heard on this show. Mm-hmm. It seems like this is le summum. This is the pinnacle of all of those emotions in this industry. Mm-hmm. Tell us how all of those things, including the psychology degree, have helped you be such an amazing resource in the industry.
Well, you know what? This is something that we don't want to talk about. We don't talk about it around the dinner table. And we try to say, hey, everyone says I'm not ready to talk about it, but you don't know when it's going to happen. And that's why it's important. You know what? I'm going to say this. We plan for everything, right? We have life insurance, and so our children and our families can have the same healthy lifestyle, right? We have our car insurance, correct? Yeah, everyone has car insurance in case, we get into an accident. We have house insurance in case we have a flood or a fire going on or something. But the one thing that is for sure in life is that we're going to pass away, and we don't plan for it, which is the most important thing. And to me, it was like, how can I put my children in the situation of choosing a casket or an urn or whatever it is, or celebrate when they lost their mom or their dad or your brother or your sister or your best friend? Why do you want to put that person in that situation? Because it's not about us. It's the person that we leave behind. It's your best friend. It's your spouse that you've had for 35 years or 40 years living in that same bed with you, and all of a sudden, poof, they're gone. And now you got to plan everything. You got to, it's like planning a wedding, right?
You know what, that's interesting because, we spend all of our lives trying to build a nest egg and a legacy.
Yeah, exactly.
And build up assets for our children and the next generations. Mm-hmm. And some people don't have, I see it, people, we've discussed this. Some people don't have even a will.
Yeah, it's terrible.
A mandate in case you become unconscious. And so all of these things are part of a conversation that I'm so happy you're leading. I think you're the right person.
Thank you.
To send this message. Who is the right person today that should be contacting you to work with you, for you to help them?
Sure. I think it's anybody, any age or whatever. If you're not planned, you know what, go give me a call and I'll help you plan it. And it's not as hard as you think it is. It really isn't. And most families that I've met, I've been with Dignity Memorial for about a year now. And most families, when they come in, yes, they're nervous, you know, especially the men. No offense, Jamie. The men don't want nothing to do with it. So,
Sure.
but, you know, and I noticed that, but once they leave and they say, you know, and they planned everything, it's like, oh yeah, peace of mind now. You know, it's like, oh, I can breathe. It's a relief, you know?
Luisa, walk us through when
Yeah.
you're meeting men, women, families all together.
Sure.
Walk us through the steps that you're going through. What are the top things that they're concerned about and that you're coaching them through
Sure.
in order to build their master plan?
Okay. Well, the first thing that we do, and I'll show you, it's a personal planning guide. Okay. I think everyone should have one. It's free, and you can only get it through a funeral home. Okay. And what happens is, because most people, when they call the funeral homes, let's say your wife passes away and you call, right? Most people don't know the answers to any of the questions that we ask them. About 97% of the time they say, no, I don't know.
What kind of questions are those? Give us some examples.
So where's the social insurance number? Where is the health card? Does she have life insurance? Do you have does she want to be cremated or buried? You know, or do you have a spot? Do you have a burial spot? Do you have a columbarium, a niche? All these things, you know, what kind? Does she want a reception? What kind of flowers does she like? Those are all things. So when you're planning it for yourself, you decide what you want. It's for you. It's your life. I call it your last party. You know, I want to make it a great one, right?
Sure.
It's not about death. It's about celebrating like you said before, your legacy, right? And so when we have the conversation, and I call it the easier conversation, because the difficult conversation is when you're gone, and the only person who can do it is your loved one. We plan everything. We put everything in this personal planning guide. So your executor, or the person who makes that call to the funeral home, says, hey, you know what? Hey, I have all the information in here, and it's great. You have a table of contents, and you can write your personal information. So, you know, your contact information, because when someone you lose passes away, your stress is up here, and you forget everything. And I went through it. I had to go through all her personal stuff, and I was crying, and it's so bad. It's so bad. So I can't stress it enough. And the more organized you are, the better it is for your loved one, right?
Sure. This is really like a cheat sheet for, you know, what I want. Everything is in one guide.
Yeah, because your legacy, exactly. That's right. Amazing. Your accomplishments. My parents' career accomplishments. You know, someone's doing a eulogy, they'll know exactly what to say and how to say it. You know, this is your family history, your grandparents. If you're separated, when's the date of divorce? People don't know that. You know, you have to write that, and it has to be done, and all the papers to the government. Because what we do is when the person passes away, we make sure that all the government work papers are done. Sure. So we cancel your health card, your social insurance number, TPS, your TVQ, all those things. People don't know about the QPP, the régime de rente. I'm sorry, I don't know what that is in English. So all those things, you know, we do all that at the funeral home, right? And then you write about your service preference. What kind of, what do you want? What kind of flowers? What music do you like? You know, all those things. So we just really, really dig deep and find out what you want to have for your celebration.
And so what can you tell us about wills and mandates, people having the legal instruments? We've discussed that. We've, wanted to talk about maybe doing some educational sessions to, make sure people had these instruments as well. What kind of conversation are you having about those legal documents to prepare to make sure that the right people are executing the book?
Exactly. It's a great point, Jamie, because most people say, I don't need to plan ahead. I have a will, but it's great. You need to have a will, and you need to have a plan ahead also for your funeral, because the will, as you know, is not open until weeks later. Sure. Until you get the death certificate from the government.
Not only that, and it's interesting because somebody had congratulated me on being named an executor of their will, and they don't realize that the level of stress and complexity sometimes when you're dealing with assets locally and internationally, it's tough. You're not necessarily getting paid for the job. There's a lot of stress. There's a lot of people who may have a stake in the estate that are waiting for their fair share. And
Exactly.
so I think that is just another level of protection to what
Definitely.
you're doing. I mean, you have the game plan, but you need to have the right vehicle in order to execute.
100%, 100%.
Yeah.
And like we're doing a conference tomorrow in French to get your papers in order with a notary. We have one in English next week as well. I can send you all the links.
Yeah.
I'm going to be doing also a workshop on how to fill this out properly and how to get your own as well.
Great.
Through
resource.
Dignity. And we do all these things virtually. And what's great about it is that when you're going to closing the estate, at the end of this personal planning guide, you have all the financial information, things that all the accounts that need to be closed, right? When the person is gone. So you have your financial information, even online profiles. No one thinks of that.
Sure.
Oh, we have like a million emails, a million passwords. Your phone, even your phone, how you get into it.
How do I, if you have an order pending on Amazon or Wayfair, how do I get
in? Exactly. So these are things that you don't have to think about because they're all on your personal planning guide. So when your loved one makes that first call to the home, you know what, they're just going to say, hey, they're going to ask you, do you have a personal planning guide and do you have a prearrangement? And you say yes and yes. You just come with this. And then once you have the contract all done, you just put it in motion. That's it.
So I want to talk about what happens. Once this is, once it happens, once there is a death, do they contacting you? Or are they dealing directly with the who are they dealing with? Once there's a passing.
Yeah, great. Yeah, so Dignity Memorial, we're part of over 2,000 funeral homes. We're in Canada and the United States. I'm the sales manager for Quebec, pre-planning advisors. And so with the advantage is that you can choose your funeral home. We have funeral homes in the North Shore. We have funeral homes in Montreal. We have the Collins Clark. We have the Darshes. We have the Guy, we have the Côte des Neiges, Centre Côte des Neiges, all those funeral homes. So when you plan, let's say, example with myself, and we finalize your arrangements, we put your desired funeral home, and then that funeral, the number will be there, and you put it in back of your personal planning guide in there, and they just call it the funeral home, and it's all done. And what's great about it is, this is what I want everyone to think about, okay? So you have the difficult conversation when it's a time of death. When the person passes away, you have no options of paying in installments. You have to pay it in full right away. You can't pay it in 30 days or a year to pay. It has to be done before the service is done. Okay.
Sure.
Second, the inflation, right? Costs go up all the time. I've been there for a year and the prices have gone up twice.
Wow.
Okay. Things are
getting more expensive.
Exactly. So a prearrangement that's worth $5,000 today will be worth maybe $15,000 in 30 or 40 years from now, if not more. So you look at it as your money is worth a lot more.
Sure.
And second, the third thing, which is what I think is important, is that when you, at the time of death, you're doing it by yourself. You just lost your best friend, your spouse of 40 years, and now you're making all these difficult decisions all on your own. Versus when you plan ahead, you're doing it together. You're laughing, choosing an urn or a casket. I tell you, it's a great experience.
That's why you're putting the fun back in
yes,
people. I think that's a great tagline.
I laugh about it all the time. I always think.
I think we should trademark that for you.
The fun back in funeral. I love gin tonic, so I said everyone's having a gin tonic on my party. Toast to Luisa. So what are things that you like, Jamie? What is something special that you want to be remembered by?
Well, I mean, and that's one of the things I was going to ask you. If I'm Jewish, am I allowed? Are Jewish people allowed to do these things? And are you getting involved with different religions? Are different religions looking for an alternative to the traditional funeral?
Absolutely. You're absolutely. I've been dealing with I've had a lot of Asians, a lot of Sikhs, and they all have different rituals. And you don't even have to do it in a funeral home where you can do it in a reception hall, sure. As a big party, as a big celebration. Because now when you have
non-denominational and
exactly, you go anywhere you want, anywhere you want. I call it I'm a party planner for funerals. That's what it is.
Awesome. Luisa, what's the first thing you're gonna do when COVID is over, life goes back to normal?
Oh my God.
Where are you going? Are you gonna go to Disney? Are you going to go to Paris? Where are you going?
I was looking. I got an email about Turks and Caicos. That's where I want to go.
Yes.
That's it.
I love it. That was so good.
Exactly.
I really, what are the conversation we had, and for everyone listening, really is a testament that you can find passion anywhere. You can find your niche in anything that you do. Funeral, law, flowers, it doesn't matter as long as you have a passion and you're changing the dialogue. And I love the fact that you have an opportunity to change the dialogue literally for an entire industry. I think it's so empowering.
Thank you.
And that's why I was really excited to hop on the call with you, because it really goes to show that passion will trump any preconception that you have of anything. And then that goes for funeral. You think of funeral, it's grim. There's a grim reaper. There's this. Now, if I think of, celebrating someone's life, I'm going to see you with a gin and tonic.
Exactly.
So I appreciate the Lakeshore really appreciates you telling your story. Telling your story so candidly and from the heart. And this was another episode, another hit of Entrepreneurs in Quarantine. Luisa, thanks so much for taking time out of your day. I know that you're a busy mom, and I know it's time to make lunches, so I'll let you be.
Yeah, 5 of them.
And I look forward to breaking bread with you when this is all over.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jamie. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks so much. Take care.
Ciao.